Yo, what is up, chat? We are back with another deck profile. For this week, we are doing the Charizard EX Pidgeot EX archetype. I do have a new spin on this. I did find a list on Twitter that I did like, so I gave it a few games online and then I switched up 60 cards just for my preference. This deck has been a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying playing it this week, so let's get into the 60 card list. So we're going to start off with 2 copies of Charizard EX. The ability, when we evolve into this Pokemon, we search our deck for 3 fire energy and attach them to our Pokemon in any way we like. Perfect because the attack costs 2 fire energy. So early on in the game, usually you're going to attach the 3rd one to your active to retreat, or you're going to attach it to like a bench Radiant Charizard, or sometimes a Pidgeot EX, because that is also a decent attacker into some matchups. The attack Burning Darkness does 180 damage for 2 fire energy, and then it does 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So whenever your opponent knocks out a Pokemon on your side, you are then doing more damage, so it's easier to take KOs on your opponent's Pokemon. We then play 1 copy of Charmeleon, because we do need to evolve into the Charizard, and we're not always going to have a rare candy. We are playing this one because the ability Flare Veil prevent all effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So stuff like TM Devo, Sableye, Lost Mind, this prevents that stuff. This does not prevent stuff like Radiant Greninja. We then play 3 copies of the 70 HP Charmander. We're just playing this because of the 70 HP, to be honest. The 60 HP is a bit too dangerous for the Dragapult spread. They can KO 2 of our Charmanders in 1 turn. This way they can KO 1, but they can only put 60 damage on the other. We're also playing 2 copies of Pidgeot EX. It has the ability Quick Search. Once during our turn, we can search our deck for 1 card, although we can only use 1 ability per turn. Then it does have the attack Blustery Wind for 2 colorless energy, 120, and you discard a stadium in play. This attack is useful in some matches. Sometimes we just need a attack with a 1 prizer, and Blustery Wind does 120. KOs a bunch of like 1 prizers that need to evolve. As well as we do use this a lot, I find, in the Terrapagos matchup, because we can bring up one of their like Hootoots, KO the Hootoot, and discard the stadium. So they have 1 less Hootoot in play, and they have to discard a bunch of Pokemon from play because we discarded their area 0. Other than that, it does have free retreat, so if you have one of these on your bench and your active isn't KO'd, you're just going to promote this and use this as your free pivot per turn. We're also playing 2 copies of Pidgey. We do have the 60 HP because there is no 70. The other option is the 50 HP Call for Family. We're not playing that because it does have 50 HP, and a Dusclops will just nuke that out of the board very easy. We're then playing 1 copy of Dusknoir. It has the ability Curse Blast. Once during our turn, we can KO this Pokemon, the Dusknoir. Then we put 13 damage counters on one of our opponent's Pokemon. Basically 130 damage, which does KO a lot of like 1 prize Pokemon. We then play 1 copy of Dusclops for the same reason. Sometimes we don't have all our candy, so we do need to slowly evolve into this. So that's why you do play the 1 copy. Has the same ability, except it only puts 5 damage counters on one of our opponent's Pokemon. Then we are playing 2 copies of Duskull. No real reason why we're playing this one specifically. I just like the attack name, Come and Get You. We are then playing 2 copies of Rotom. Most of us do play 1, but because of our A-spec being Precious Trolley, we are playing 2 copies. This is the most important card on our first turn. Since we can't attack, we need to draw the extra 3 cards. We are also playing 1 copy of Fezandipiti EX for the ability Flip the Script. If one of our Pokemon were knocked out during our opponent's last turn, we get to draw 3. Very good because we do need a lot of combo pieces. We need our evolution Pokemon in hand, and we need rare candies in hand. So just being able to draw 3 is very useful. We then play 1 copy of Radiant Charizard. This is the Radiant we are choosing to play. It has the attack Combustion Blast for 1 fire, 4 colorless. It does 250 damage, but it has the ability that each prize card our opponent has taken, this attack costs 1 colorless less. So when our opponent gets to 2 prize cards, we only need to use 1 fire energy to attack with this. Very good into stuff like Raging Bolt, where we can leave a 1 prizer in the active, KOing their 2 prizer, forcing them to need a gust on one of our 2 prizers. We're also playing 1 copy of Bibarel for the ability Industrious Incisors. Once during our turn, we get to draw cards until we have 5 in hand. We are then playing 1 copy of Bidoof. We are playing this one not because of the HP, because the other one does have 70, but because of the retreat cost. The amount of games I lost because I started the 2 retreat cost Bidoof and couldn't power up a Charizard and retreat, because the Bidoof with 2 retreat costs was in the active, was a lot, as well as people were gusting it up early game causing me to lose a bunch of games. So we are playing this one. And then the last Pokemon we are playing is one copy of Lumineon V for the ability Luminous Sign. When we bench this Pokemon from our hand, we search our deck for a supporter. So basically, if you don't open up a supporter, we're going to try and Ultra Ball for this or have it in hand. Ultra Ball for Arven. Arven grabs us Forest Seal Stone, Precious Trolley, and then we set up from there. Alright, so starting off our trainers, we are playing one copy of Collapsed Stadium. When we bench this, both players have to discard their bench until they have 4 Pokemon in play. Very good at just getting rid of a liability. Like let's say we use Rotom early and we know our opponent's going to guess that to KO. We're going to try and get this Collapsed Stadium out, discard the Rotom, that way they have no easy 2-prize KO. We are then playing 4 copies of Arven. Arven, search your deck for a Pokemon tool and an item card, reveal it, put into your hand. Basically, for going first, on our first turn going second, we need to have this in hand so we can get the Precious Trolley and Forest Seal Stone combo. We are then playing 2 copies of Iono. Each player shuffles their hand, puts it at the bottom of their deck, and then draws cards equal to their prize cards. Very good late game when we just need to disrupt our opponent's hand. We are playing 2 copies because we can accelerate the game to win with stuff like Duskull and Briar. Next, we are playing 2 copies of Boss's Orders. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. Very good at taking KOs on Pokemon you want. Sometimes your opponent will shove a Pokemon in the active that they don't want KO'd. This is a great way around that. We are then playing 1 copy of Briar. We can only use this card if our opponent has 2 prize cards. During this turn, if our opponent's active Pokemon would be knocked out by one of our Terras, we do take an extra prize. One thing to note, if our opponent has 2 prize cards, and we use Briar and then pop the Dusknoir, forcing them to 1, we still do get the effect of Briar. We are then playing 1 copies of Professor Turo's Scenario. You put one of your Pokemon into your hand and then you discard all the other cards. Very good. And like let's say the Miraidon matchup and you have a Pidgeot EX that's a 2 prize, sometimes 3 prize liability. You can just Turo it up and then they can't take 3 prize cards. If you have a damaged Charizard, you can Turo that up. They can't take extra prize cards, or you prolong their prize race. And as well as if you start Bibarel, like Bibarel gets stuck in the active, you can just Turo it up. And then lastly, we are playing 1 copy of Thorton. Thorton, amazing card. I'm going to be very sad when this card rotates. We choose one of our basic Pokemon in play, and then we switch it with a Pokemon in our discard pile. But the turns in play, the energy attached, and all the other effects on the Pokemon we switched still remains in play. So let's say our opponent, we have no Charmanders in play, but we do have a Rotom. We can Thornton the Rotom into a Charmander and then immediately use Rare Candy into Charizard to evolve. So for our items, we're going to start off with 4 copies of Rare Candy. We choose one of our basic Pokemon in play and then evolve it into the stage 2 right away. So we don't need to have the stage 1 in hand. Very good. We are playing 4 copies because we do need to see these cards as soon as possible. We also do play 3 different stage 2s in our deck. We're also playing 4 copies of Ultra Ball. We discard 2 cards from our hand and then search our deck for a Pokemon. Since we do play so many evolution Pokemon, sometimes we need an Ultra Ball or 2 to get the combo off. We are then playing 3 copies of Nest Ball. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Very good at getting out our Fezandipitis after our opponent took a KO, Radiant Charizard, stuff like that. We do play a lot of basics and we do need to set up, so 3 Nest Ball is very good. We then have 2 copies of Counter Catcher. Since our opponent is probably taking the first prize, since we do like to go second and we do have a bunch of little 1 prizes, this basically is a boss's orders, especially with Dusknoir. Like I've said, we can manipulate the prize trade and then just have this as a free gust basically. Since we are playing a lot of Pokemon, we are going to discard them during the game through stuff like Ultra Ball, as well as just getting knocked out. So we have 2 copies of Super Rod. We shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from our discard pile into our deck. Now for the best card in the list, we have the Precious Trolley. You search your deck for any number of basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So basically on our first turn, going second, we basically want to Arven for this. Arven's going to grab us all our Pokemon off the Precious Trolley. Our optimal board state is going to be 2 Charmander, a Pidgey, a Bidoof, a Duskull, and a Rotom. So if you see this, you just get the whole squad out, and then you're basically setting up from there. We are playing 1 copy of Night Stretcher. You put a Pokemon or basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. Then we do play 1 copy of Buddy-Buddy Poffin. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less, and then put them onto your bench. Stuff like Charmander, Pidgey, and Duskull all have less than 70 HP. We are only out playing one copy because we do have the Precious Trolley, and that is the optimal card that we do want to see. We're just playing this one copy in case the trolley is prized. We're also choosing to play one copy of Lost Vacuum. We lost zone a card in hand, and then we lost zone one of our opponents or one of our tool or stadium cards. Very good in the Guardy matchup since we can get rid of their Bravery Charm, take a prize card, then we can Dusknoir, take a prize card, and then hopefully Boss's Odor is their Gardevoir EX and take 2 more prize cards. We then play 2 copies of Forest Sealstone. I am on 2 copies because I find whenever I prize 1 copy, I generally end up losing the game. Forest Sealstone reads, it's our V-Star ability per game. We can attach this to one of our basic Pokemon Vs, and then we can use the V-Star ability and search our deck for any one card. So since we are playing cards like Lumineon and Rotom, we're going to slap this on there and then search one card. We're then playing 1 copy of Defiance Band. If we are behind on prize cards, our Pokemon that we attach this to does 30 more damage. Very good again because we are usually playing from behind. We just get to do 30 more damage, and sometimes the 30 more damage is the difference between taking a KO or not taking a KO. And then rounding out the list, we are playing 5 copies of basic Fire Energy. 5 copies does feel a bit sketch, I'm not gonna lie. But since we do play cards like Night Stretcher and Super Rod, we can get these energies back. So we also just don't want to draw into a bunch of energy. So this reduces our odds of drawing into the energy because we do want to accelerate with Charizard EX's ability. And that is going to do it for the deck list. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. I'm also going to have in the description the copy paste link so you can just copy this deck list into PTCGL and you can give it a try yourself. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in next week's video.